All right, hello everyone. Hope you all had a good month as usual. Today I think I want to start out by going over some things that have been in the news as always. It's kind of where I like to start with a broad overview. So every year the list of the fastest growing states is compiled and it came out for the end of the year, and Florida ended up as the number 2 fastest growing state behind Texas. Been that way for a number of years now. And there's a reason that I want to bring this up. So the more people that move to the state of Florida, the more people that need homes. Problem is, we're not building a whole lot of new homes, right? Now what I mean by that is, we can't just build east or west, right? We have oceans on each coast of Florida. So you just can't build to the side like you can in Texas. In the center of the state, we have a lot of Everglades. More and more true the further south that you run. Now, the center of the state should be filled with a lot of land for preservation. It's rural. There's a lot of zoning that is in place that makes it specifically so you can't add a large number of tract homes into the center of the state. Very good thing for the Florida Panther, and politicians listen up. I think that's what we need to do, is loosen the building regulations along the coast in terms of density and make sure that we keep Florida wild through the center of it. So, little side rant, but at any rate, my point is, we due to natural barriers, we can't just keep building. There's a lot of other states that can just keep building. Florida's not one of them. So even if we wanted to add housing in, we just can't do it that quickly. And so that's a big buoy in value, and that's a really good thing for people who hold real estate in the state of Florida. So bring net migration into this whole thing. When we have positive net migration, more people moving than we do leaving, we have geographic constraints on where you can build. You put these things together for me, and that's always been the bull thesis on Florida, right? That's the reason that I think by and large, it's hard for values here to sink. Aside from the fact that, it's pretty nice to live on the ocean, and I think people are always going to want to live towards the coastline with gorgeous weather. So anyways, that's how net migration figures into the whole equation for me. Every time I see Florida at the top of the list, just makes me think more and more, it's another real good tailwind if you're a homeowner in the state of Florida, in terms of, I think you can sleep at night knowing your value is a little bit more sound. 2008 aside, but it was a different animal. Anyways, let's get on to the data here, and we're going to start with single family homes. All right, so let's start with single family home data in Fort Lauderdale. The data is going to be from the period of December 1 to December 30th of 2023. All right, median home pricing. Still above that 500K mark. I think we should stay there. Honestly, it's really hard to find anything decent below 500,000 in the single family world. And I think the market's just kind of accepted that reality. So let's switch over to number of properties sold. Still headed down. We're actually at a 5-year low in terms of number of properties that are selling in a given month. So not a really good sign for sellers. It's weakness. So let's see if we can bounce here. If not, just no good, not good for sellers at all. List to sales took a little bounce. Again, what this really means is how accurately sellers judge the market and how much buyers are able to negotiate off listing price. So at 96% of lists, sellers aren't having to go wild with reductions or accept real low offers, but it is saying that, sellers, you're not in the driver's seat any longer where you were here, where whatever price you put on it, you were getting it, right? 100%. So just kind of, can't stress it enough, price correctly from the start and kind of avoid that. Median days to sale, it's almost doubled. We've gone from 22 days up to 58 days. So that's an issue for sellers. It's taking longer and longer to sell an active listing. Sellers, you have to build this into your timeline. The longer a home is on the market, the higher your carry cost is going to be, and we're knocking on the door of 5-year highs here. I think 67 days. So you have to go all the way back here to find that. So again, it's just kind of saying, sellers, we're headed into a slower market, so prepare that, and you have to do a little bit of an analysis. If you have heavy carry costs, is it better to slightly reduce your price when you go on to market to try to capture a buyer quicker? Because in the end, are you going to lose some of that money the longer that you carry the property? Probably. It's for you to do the math on, but just something to be aware of. Median price per square foot, I think it's just kind of bouncing around here in a range. I mean, I don't really think we're going back here anywhere. But it just kind of bounces around in a range here. So overall, it looks like we've come off a peak, but don't let it fool you. I can tell you from working with buyers, what's still winning is the property in the best condition, that's been updated, that's ready to go. It's going to carry a higher price per square foot, logically speaking. So let's see what this does, but I'm guessing it doesn't head too far south unless buyers' appetite changes and we go back to that HGTV. I want to make it my own thing, but I really don't see that happening. Total dollar volume. It's just falling off a cliff here. As a reference, March of 2021, right here, 384 million. Down to the 96 million and change where we are now. A lot less homes are selling. So if the total dollar volume doesn't show you that, I don't really know what will. But look, this is better news for buyers than it is for sellers, in my opinion, because it tells buyers you probably have a little room to negotiate and find a seller who's been on market for a little bit longer, who's probably willing to work with you on price. So. Months of supply seems to be pretty level here, right? Up 9% over the last year, but it's little relief to buyers in some price points. The best thing that can happen to buyers is more supply. It's really that simple. And as we've talked about a number of times, is 6 months of supply represents a market that favors neither buyers nor sellers, but in Fort Lauderdale, it's been a while since we've been there. So we shall see. All right, let's switch over to condos and townhomes. Median pricing dipped back a bit to 480,000. So down month over month, kind of flopping around here in a pretty wide range. Let's give it a couple of months and see if this resolves higher. I wouldn't be surprised if it did, as I'm seeing a lot more interest in condos and townhomes than before. I think some of that's because the cost of insuring a single-family home, dealing with roof issues, the pricing is just kind of getting out of control. If you have to shoulder all of the costs by yourself, in a condo or a townhome, you and your neighbors can share the costs. So I think that's why there's more buyer interest in this product right now. And my guess is we continue to see it going that way. So now, that being said, if it was entirely true that buyers were only buying condos or townhomes, we certainly wouldn't be trending straight down. So we're up against 5-year lows on total number of sales and really getting close to that 5-year low. So if I'm a seller, I'm looking at this and I'm not feeling great, that's for sure. List to sales just continues to slide down also. So what's that say? Sellers are having to negotiate. If you're a seller, be prepared. Of course, price correctly from the start. Can't say it enough. Can't say it enough times. A little overall perspective, though. List to sales says there's roughly 5% off the price on average being negotiated. So we're not looking for a wild figure. But we're down by 5-year lows. So this is saying you can't just ask whatever you want and get it. So likely that's not going to happen. So just don't waste time. Don't let the listing get stale. Price correctly from the start. You've heard me say it a bunch of times, and I'll have to continue saying it because I think it's the best way to go. Median days on market. rising again here. So here's the thing with days on market. Everyone can see it. Buyers agents, anyone interested in the property. Once you get around 90 days on market, the tone of showings change. Buyers agents will say to the listing agent, so how far off list is your seller willing to go? Buyers will ask point blank, why has this been on the market so long? Some buyers may not even want to see the property because they think something's wrong with it if it's been on market too long. So pricing right from the start helps avoid that, helps the seller stay in control of the transaction and negotiation. So I'll get off that little pedestal for a while, but I'm sure you guys know by now that's how I feel is the right way to do it. Median price per square foot. Still on the high side, fighting to stay above $400 a foot, where we've been a handful of times. Again, to me, it's just saying people are paying for quality, this time doing so, I think, on a budget. I keep hearing it from buyers and seeing it play through. If you're listing something junky and outdated, you've been warned. I think it's better to do some updating before you go to put it on the market, now more than ever, really. Total dollar volume, just wow. Headed to 5-year lows. 369 million transacted in condos and townhomes in February of 2022. We're down to a figure just shy of 61 million. I mean, just an enormous decline, right? That's completely insane. Almost 6 times as much volume transacted a couple years ago. So again, sellers, we're not in that market any longer, and you got to adjust. Months of supply just keeps climbing. The best news a buyer can hear, right? Means more choices. Look at this 12-month change. Insane. There's almost 100% more inventory for you to choose from right now than there was a year ago if you're a buyer. Right? Just wild. Statistically speaking, at 8 months of supply, we're in a buyer's market for condos. Caveats, depends on the location and the price point. Some pockets in pricing and location, it is definitely still a seller's market. So that's it. That's what I got for you. As always, feel free to call, text, or email me if you want to talk about some real estate in or around Fort Lauderdale, whether your timeline is a week or a year. I like to talk about real estate. We'll see you guys next month. Take care.